Hey, hi, Himanshu. Very good morning. Himanshu, can you able to hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Yeah, hi, Himanshu.
Hi.
So, Himanshu, we'll just wait for a few more minutes for other people to join.
Yep.
I think Anupama is also joining. Hey, hi, Anupama. Very good morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
So, we'll just wait for one more minute and then we'll get started. Okay.
क्या हो गया?
Hello, everyone. Very good morning. So, team, we will resume with our training sessions. So on last week, we started with the recruiting and the candidate experience, right? And we saw what is in recruitment and candidate experience. We had a quick introduction about that. And then we started with the recruiting and candidate experience, like, the enterprise recruiting and candidate experience. We saw what the various sections in the recruiting and enterprise, in the enterprise recruiting and candidate experience. So we saw various sections, different configurations which will have an effect on the entire recruitment module, right? And then we had a quick introduction about the content library. So we understood what is in content library, what is in category, everything. And we are yet to create a content library. Right? So before I start with the creations of the content library, items in the content library, any doubts or questions, I think, from any of the previous sessions? Okay, so we are all good. So now what we'll do is, team, we'll go to recruitment content library, and then we'll see how to create content items, how to create versions of it, how to make changes, and we'll see those things in detail. So the navigation to access content library is click on settings and actions, and then go to setup and maintenance. And once we go to setup and maintenance, in the setup, we will choose recruiting and candidate experience. And once we choose recruiting and candidate experience, we have to choose the functional area, which is the recruiting and candidate experience management. And then here in the recruiting and candidate experience management, you will see this recruiting content library. And once we go inside the recruiting content library, okay, we can able to see all the content items which is there in this particular instance. Okay. And there is no restrictions on, like, who can see what kind of categories or data. So basically the recruiting administrator role will give you access to this particular content library. Okay. Once you get access to content library, you can able to see all the contents here in this particular screen. Okay. So in order, we saw the navigations around everything, right? So now we'll start with the creation. So in order to create a new content item, we'll just click on the create button. So once I click on the create button, we will have to start giving the name and the code for it. So let's say we will first create a notification, or we'll create a content forum to display the employer description. So what I'll do is I'll just put underscore employer description, and then I'll give the code. And next we have to choose the category. Okay. So in the category, what I'll do is I'll go search for employer description. And based on the category, what we choose, the remaining contents will change automatically. Okay. For example, now that I choose category as employer description, I get to see only messaging and version details. Okay. Let's say instead of employer description, if I just choose automated job application notification, then if you see, I get to enter subject, message, text, SMS, all those details comes up. Okay. So what is this automated job application notification? It's whenever a candidate applies to any of the requisitions, okay, and then if you want to send some notifications to the candidate automatically, right? And let's say, or if the candidate is moved to a specific, phase and state, and then you wanted to send some notifications, then we use this automated notifications. I think it's better we use this category for today's section. So once you choose the category, next you see something called as visibility. So what is this visibility? What is the purpose of it? So the purpose of the visibility is that, if you want this content item to be used for external candidates or internal candidates, or for both internal and external candidates. So that's the purpose of this visibility. Hmm. Let's say if you want this to be sent only to the external candidates, then you choose only external. Okay. So that what happens is, when this alert has been triggered, right, it will be triggered only to the external candidates. It will not be triggered to the internal candidates. Okay. So if an internal candidate applies to a requisition, then this particular alert will not be triggered. And if you notice, if you remember, in the enterprise settings, right, in the enterprise recruiting and candidate experience, we had an option called as contingent worker as an external candidate. So if we select this checkbox, then what will happen is this particular notification which is triggered to the external candidate. Right? So if a contingent worker applies to any of the requisitions, then this particular notification will also be triggered to the contingent worker, because the contingent workers are treated as an external candidates. So that's how it works. So for our reference, what I'll do is I'll just choose the visibility as internal from external. And next we have this messaging. So what is this messaging? So let's say whenever a notification has been triggered to the candidates, right? If you want this notification to be stored against the candidate records, okay, then we can enable this messaging option. So where do we reflect this? Let me just go to the application. Let me just quickly take any campaign. Okay. And once we open the candidate profile, right, if I just go to messages tab inside the candidate profile, then here you can able to see all the messages, which has been sent to this candidate. But currently, if you notice, there are no messages here. That's because, we have not enabled the capture message option here in the content library. Okay. So let's say if I just select this capture message, then, whatever, the message which we draft here, right, that would be captured here. Okay. So let's say, we have something called as tokens. Okay. So whenever a message has been sent to a candidate, we wanted to capture those details. So we have this 5 different tokens here. So let's say first what happens, let's say I choose notification subject. I click on subject here. And then next I wanted to display the body. So now what will happen is whenever this particular notification is triggered, right? Then this content would be stored in the candidate's message tab, in this order. Okay. So the subject line would be stored first, and then one space, and then the notification body would be stored. So that's the purpose of this captured message. So ideally, what we do is team, whenever we start any works implementation, so what we first do is we go to the content library and we enable this capture message in all the notifications which we use. So irrespective of whether if it is on seeded notifications or custom notification, we always enable this capture messages. This way, we will have a clarity, if the notifications has been triggered to the candidate or not, how the notifications looks like, we can able to see everything. So that's the purpose of this messaging. So next we have the version details. So first we have the start date. So if you want to activate this particular notification, if you want to activate this particular content in a future date, then you can able to do that. So let's say, for example, I want this to be activated starting from 28th of September at certain specific time. I can able to do that. Or if I wanted to activate it now, then I can just choose start on activation. And if you notice, the start date is a mandate field tip. So you have to definitely give a start date, or if you want to activate it right away, then I'll just click on start on activation so that the start date gets disabled and we can activate it. Next, we have tokens. We'll see the tokens. Okay. So these are the seeded tokens which we have. So let's say whenever we wanted to send some email from an application to the candidates, right? We wanted certain details to be automatically populated. Okay. Let's say, for example, this is an job application notification, right? So let's say whenever the candidate has applied, this notification has to be triggered to the candidate. Okay. So when we send this email to the candidate, right, we want certain informations to be displayed in the email side. So one thing is, let's say, thank you for your job. Two, I wanted to display the okay, and then within square brackets here I wanted to display a requisition number, and then I wanted to display requisition title. Okay. I wanted to display this in the subject line. Okay. So what I'll do is we can use the tokens here. Okay. If I just scroll down, yeah, I see this requisition number token here. I'll just click on insert and then I'll insert in the subject line. So now this requisition number token has been added here. Similarly, what I'll do is I'll select requisition title. I have requisition title. I'll choose in the subject. So now what happens is, what is the exact purpose of this tokens is when this notification is triggered, okay, let's say the candidate has applied to the requisition 101, okay, and then the requisition title is human resource specialist. Okay. So what happens is when this notification is triggered, all the tokens would be replaced with the actual content of the actual content. For example, the requisition number will be automatically changed to 101, and the title title will be automatically changed to human resource specialist. Okay, so that's the purpose of the tokens. Okay? And these tokens are all seeded list team. So these are all the seeded list. And if you ask me, Ravi, is there a way we can able to update these tokens? No, there is no. We don't have an option to update the tokens. Oracle keeps updating these tokens, in every quarterly patch updates. So previously we don't used to have so many tokens. Now, we have a huge list of tokens. So what all other tokens do we have? So you can have candidate details. Okay? For example, I will add candidate first name and then space candidate last name. So you have received your job application for, okay? I'll just mention we have received a job application for requisition number hyphen requisition title. And then I wanted to display the recruiter name. Recruiter display name. Will reach out to you soon about the job application. Your candidate number is, and here what are this candidate number. Okay, so this is how normally we draft the emails with the help of tokens. Okay, so now what happens is when this email is triggered, let's say the candidate name is Ravi Kumar. Okay, so it says dear Ravi Kumar, thank we received the application for 101 hyphen human resource specialist. Okay, let's say the recruiter name is Himanshu. So Himanshu will reach out to you soon about your job application. And let's assume if the candidate number is 1001. And then the last line of the email says your candidate number is 1001. So this is how the emails would be automatically triggered, and then the functionality of the tokens. So once it is done, we can just close it. Regards, and then I just wanted to add some career segment. So now I will just in the last I'll just give the name of the career set. Or if you wanted to regards to your team, whatever it is, we can be able to do that. So once we enter all these details, the next box which we have is an SMS text. Yeah. So what is an SMS text? Let's say if the customers if we have enabled SMS based authentication for the candidates, SMS based job application, then if we wanted to have a separate content to be used for SMS, then we can use this SMS box here. So mostly, ideally, what we do is as a best practice, if the customers are going to use SMS, right, then we just copy paste the same content. But sometimes, we don't put, all those details in. For example, we don't use such long, candidate first name and last name. In short, we'll just put dear candidate. And we try to, reduce the number of characters we use for the SMS text because as most of the SMS, they will have limitations of 180, 160 characters. Okay. If it goes beyond that 160, 180 characters, right, then it's, the entire message would be split and send it in two messages. And then, the SMS credits will be used accordingly. So we have a lot of other things. So that's why we try to have a simpler version of it. So this is how we can able to create a content item. So any doubts or questions so far, Tim?
Yeah, so in these tokens, can we have any custom fields that we create in DFFs, EFFs?
Not here, Himanshu. That's why I said, right, the tokens are like, the list of values are seeded we don't have an option to add or remove any tokens.
Okay, so like any of the other kind of field, whatever is here is what we can use, not anything else.
Yes,
Custom
exactly.
fields cannot be brought in. Okay, and can we put in like tabular format or any image in this particular mail so as to make it more appealing?
Yes, yes. See, this is a rich text editor.
Okay,
So if
so it
you
will allow.
see, yeah, it is a rich text editor where you have all the formatting options.
So even in Talio we had the same rich text editor only, but we
Okay.
could actually play with the CSS part of it.
Yeah,
Like we
we
can write
here
those things.
also see, for example,
Okay,
right?
yeah. So
Here,
that
right,
is
you have
what I
this
thought.
source code editing. So once you click on it, it takes you to the HTML version.
Yeah. So we can write the source code and generate things,
Yeah. So you
format it.
have the insert image. Okay? So if I just click on the insert image, just quickly choose some image. See, once I click on insert image, it asks us to select the image or we can enter an URL. Okay? I just choose a sample image and once I click on apply, it just choose the category.
So when we do the select file choose, then that will appear, right? That
Which,
image will while adding the image.
yes,
So if we select the image from the disk, that image will get uploaded onto Fusion application, and then that link
that
will
will be
be
used.
used here. Okay.
But here, for some reasons, it is not getting uploaded, I think, because of the demo instance. But if you have other instances, right, you can try that.
Okay. So it is much simpler than in terms of like, because entirely what we'll have to do is always go and save the image at some other location, or it has to be hosted somewhere on the internet, and
Uh,
from that, only from that URL it will read that particular image.
See, that is the same scenario in our career sites. You will see
Mm.
that once we go there. But here, we can able to, insert the images, or if you want the URLs, you can use the URLs as well.
Mm.
But as a best practice, Himanshu, what I always used to do is like, whenever they have images, let's say, for example, they want to have some company logos. Okay? They want to display some company logo in the emails and, things like that. Then I always use, the URL
Yeah.
because there could be any change in the company, some acquisition, anything, right? Then we have to, let's say there are, 150 content library, content items. Then they have to go and update all 150. If it is the
150 items.
URL, all they have to go to is go to the FTP location, change the image in the URL, colors it's done.
Okay. So that way, how are we managing the image library on an FTP location?
Sorry?
Like then how are we managing that image library? Where are we storing those images of which we are getting the URL?
The customers will have their web storages, right? For the website, for the
Okay.
web hosting, they will be having some online database,
Or
right?
maybe can we use Google Drive? Like if
See, Google Drives, you cannot use Google Drives because it will not help you to, yeah, I mean, it will not give you public URL. For example, if there is a URL, right, if you generate from Google Drive, okay, then once you click on the Google Drive, first it will ask you to authenticate. Once you
okay,
authenticate, that's when you can able to see.
okay. So SharePoint or like what resource can we, because some clients might ask, right, where to use this thing?
See, ideally, what we do is like, you take any customer, they will have their website. For hosting their website, they will have a web storage, web
Okay,
server to
right.
store all their web contents, right? So we ask them to do it in the same place and then we get an URL from there along.
Okay. And can we not add over here CC, BCC and reply
No.
to?
Reply to, you can just add it in the here,
Here,
but no,
CC,
CC,
BCC is
yeah.
not there. And this kind of this interface is common for all types of what do we say? All types of the notifications with that we can send, right? It does not change for from notification to notification, right?
See, the details changes from notification to notification.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, from category to category, like,
Category.
this thing gets changed. We'll see that, we create, couple more and see, like, we'll choose different categories and see how it looks like.
Okay. Yes, software is good.
Ravi, right now you created the body of the text. I mean, the dear candidate, and we have received your job application and all that.
That's
Are we supposed to create the body of the text, or do we get it from the business?
normally we get it from the business. See,
Okay.
anything which is considered as a data, we have to get
Mhm.
it from the customer.
Okay.
We can propose, if the customer asks, then, we can propose this is how, other customers use. But the actual data, we have to get it from the customer only.
So, do we have a catalog or something where we can refer, or do we have like, because you have so much experience, so you basically you'll be having that much of uh, data with you. So, uh, like initially when you were there, did you had a catalog to refer to, or like how was it?
No, Anupama, I didn't add any catalog to refer. It's
Okay.
basically like, I see, for example, this job application notification, right? We know, like, what kind of notifications we would receive if we apply to any other career set, right? Any
Yeah.
other requisition. So based on that, we just, auto populate. And these days, right, just to be very frank with you guys, right? These days, this contents, everything, right? And no one is spending time to create this. They just go to ChatGPT, put the scenario, and then ChatGPT creates the content and they just copy paste it here.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, one more thing. So we have two message text. There is this one and there is one more. If you scroll it up, where you have written notification body, can you scroll? Yeah. So there is one more. So what is the difference between these two? Although I understand that visibility, it's for internal and external candidate, the messaging, right?
Uh-huh.
But when you say notification subject and notification body, what exactly we are going to write here?
Notifications
Yeah,
subject. Okay,
yes,
this one, right? Okay.
yes.
So when this notification is triggered to a candidate, then what will happen is here, right? The whatever the email which is sent to the candidate will be stored here. So let's say, for example, yeah. So here, if you see, this is a notification which has been sent to the candidate. Okay. So which is like, a verification pin has been sent. So similarly, you will see that, here instead of system, you will see the subject line. Okay. And here a verification pin is sent, right? Instead of this line, you will see this content.
Okay, got it.
So this also now supports Arabic language, right? The
Yeah.
Fusion application over here also we can
Yes,
like
I meant to go to that part.
yeah. So if we configure something in Arabic now, it will automatically become right to left, or it will be left to right only.
I will show you that. We'll go to that part, Amanshu.
Yeah. Because in the past I had clients from Gulf, and the pain for doing things in Arabic, and I don't understand Arabic at all. I can
Okay.
neither read nor understand nor read or speak or anything.
Yeah, I
But
understand.
we had a tough time copying and pasting each line, and then because the application did not supported Arabic language, it used to consider like English, and it used to make everything from left to right.
Yeah, yeah,
And because those
and
letters
I
get
know.
flipped, this will make the meaning completely changed. So then we have to go to CSS and make it the direction as right to left for everything, every line.
That's correct. We don't have the challenge here in
Yeah.
Fusion in WARC. We'll see that time also. But before that, any other doubts or questions on the screen?
Mm, no.
Okay, fine. So once we update all this information, right, the next step is we have to activate this particular content. Okay? So in order to activate this content, there are two ways. Like, either you can activate it right away. So basically, once you click on this inverted triangle, right, you see save and activate. So once you click on save and activate, that means like, this particular content item would be saved and then it would be activated immediately. Or let's say I want to activate it within future date, then you can just uncheck this box, choose your start date and time and the time zone window when you wanted to activate. So when you show this options to the customers, right, they will ask like, what kind of scenarios do we use this functionality? Okay. So when do we use this kind of future dated state activations? So we will have some scenarios like in my past, like I've seen some customers where they had some acquisitions, okay, or where they have been changed, they had some restructures, reorganizations, okay, and then they are going with a new name, okay, or new titles, so for any reasons, okay, and then so because of which they had to make some changes to the contents, and then they wanted to activate it within future date. So these are some of the scenarios which which request to activate in a future date. If not, I can just click on select start on activation, and then I'll just click on save and activate. So once I click on save and activate, we can see that uh, the content has been activated with the status current. And now, Himanshu, if you notice, this is the image which I selected. For some reasons, it was not displaying there, but once I activate, it is displayed. So now this particular status is activated. If I just go back and if I just search with, I can able to see this one. So now that, we have created this particular content item, we have just created this particular content item. And then, once we activate the content item, the customer comes to us and say, Ravi, we had to make some small changes to this. Instead of TA team, we wanted to use recruitment team. So this kind of changes always comes up. Like, any changes in the content item, right? It will, we can, these are like, very common things, which we always get from the customers. Okay, the questions. So if we wanted to make some changes to the content, then what we can do is we'll just click on actions, and then you will see this option here called as copy to create new version. Okay? So basically what happens is whenever you create a content item, there will be a versions against it. You can able to see the version details. And then if you wanted to make some changes to it, you can again create a new version and you can change, you can make the changes. Okay. So similarly, you can keep creating, multiple versions. So for example, if I just do a blank search, okay, you will see, there are 3 versions, 2 versions. There are for this particular content, it is like 5 versions. Okay. So that's how you can able to make changes here. For example, I will just search. So if you wanted to make changes to the content, what I will do is I'll just click on actions and then I'll choose copy to create new version. And then I'll make the changes here. Regards recruitment team. I'll just choose start on activation. And then I can just click on this and then I will activate it. So now this is in draft. I just activate it. So now, once I activate this particular changes that you see the versions, it is showing us 2. So that means that, there are 2 versions of this particular content item. And then the latest version is, which is showing the status as active. So now the next question comes up is, Ravi, where do we see the older versions. So in order to see the older versions, if you scroll down, you under additional versions, right? You will see this content. So you will see the old versions. And if you wanted to see a quick preview of what was the content of the old version, you can just click on here, preview version content. Once you click on it, you can able to see a preview of it. So this is what was the old version, and this is the latest version. So that's the purpose of copy to create new version. And then we have something called as edit content item name. Let's say if you wanted to edit the name, then you can able to edit it. And then you can able to update the messaging section alone. Okay. So that's the only thing. And then you also have this notification tracking. So let's say if customer says, if there's issues like where people say that, the emails have not been sent to the candidates and things like that, then, if we enable this checkbox, then what will happen is this will help us to, track the notifications from the backend. So we can write some SQLs to, pull out the notification related details. And then, basically we can do the troubleshooting. So that's the purpose of this checkbox. And then the messaging sections can be edited at any point of time. So once you're done, you can just click on save and close. And then if you notice, the code is like, we cannot able to change the code. Once a content item is activated, the code cannot be changed. So this is the different options here. And what we have is the third option, which is like create content item from version. What is the purpose of this is like, let's say I wanted to copy all this informations and create a new content item itself. Then I'll just click on this. So what will happen is it will create a new item with all the details here. So where do we, use this kind of functionalities is like, let's say we have like, different, let's assume the customers have like, 4 different legal employees. And then, for each legal employer, the content is going to be different. Okay? But, with some minor changes. In such case, right, I'll create one and then copy it and then create a new content item, make the minor changes here, and then I just, activate it. So that's how we can able to do that. Okay? So that's the purpose of this third option, which is copy content version to create new item. Okay? And last we have this deactivate content item. So if you wanted to deactivate this particular one, you can able to deactivate it. So next we have to see is the translations. So in Fusion application, if you want, the translations are supported as a standard functionality. Okay. So in order to provide any translations, right, you will just go to the draft mode again. Okay. And then you will see this, global icon here, okay, Earth icon. So wherever you see this Earth icon, that means that, you can provide translations to it. So if I just hold the mouse on top of it, you will see that it's called as translation editor. So this is the one. So wherever you see this icon in the Fusion application, that means like, translations are supported for that particular page. Okay. So basically, where all you will see this? You will see this in all the places where you're going to give it custom content. Okay. Custom data, then you can able to see this, translation editor. So I'll just click on translations editor. And then now we'll get a warning stating that the content item must be saved before we translate the languages. Okay, so what I'll do is save as draft. Okay. Once I click on save as draft, I can able to see this translation editor. So you can provide a translation editor for the name. Let's just go back to the editor. I can provide a translation for the name. So once I click on the translation editor, I can give names here. Since this is a demo instance, all the language packs has been enabled. Okay? But in real time, because you will not able to see all these language packs. Okay? So the language packs has to be enabled by the customer. Okay. So customers, when they procure the instance access from Oracle, they have to choose like, the language pack. So most of my customers are from Middle East. So what they do is, like, whenever they procure the instances from the outside, by default they will have Arabic language gets enabled. And some customers, like, based on the presence, sorry, some customers based on the presence, geographic presence, they will take other location, other languages as well. I've seen some of my customers, they have used Chinese and traditional Chinese here. That, yeah, simplified Chinese and traditional Chinese. So they will use this particular ones, and Arabic has been common. So let's say here, so Iman should to answer to your point, right? Let's say I'll just answer here. I'll go to the version details. This is the SMS content. So this is how the translation should be. I'll just paste it here. Got this. For some reasons, the formatting is getting changed here. So this is how we can able to provide the translations. Well, so once we provide the translations, okay, then the formatting will be happen according to their, their language preferences. Okay. So let's say when will this Arabic language will be triggered? Okay, or let's say if I choose the what's the other language? Dutch. I'll go to the Dutch. So this is how you can able to update all your translations. Okay. So once it is done, we'll just click on OK, so that we have just provided the translations. Okay. So now the next question comes up is, Ravi, when do this translated text will be triggered to the candidate? That would be the obvious question, right? So what will happen is if the candidate, has applied to any of the requisitions using Arabic language, or if the candidate has applied using a Dutch language, then those particular notifications would be triggered. So basically, whenever the candidate goes to the career site, based on the language he choose to apply to any of the job application, right? That language will be used as his candidate's preference. So based on whatever the language the candidate has choose, the particular messages would be triggered to the candidate. So that's how we can able to provide translations. And once we provide translations, I'll just activate this particular one. So if you ask me, Ravi, is it mandate that we have to create new versions and provide the translations? It is not necessary. Even in the first version itself, you can just save it as draft, and then you can start providing the translations. So this is how we can able to create a content item in the content library. And then we saw how to make changes to the existing content by creating new versions of it. And then we saw how to use the tokens in the content library. And then we saw how to create a new content library from an existing content library. And then we also saw how to provide translations. And let me just quickly, create some content library. Okay, so I'll just put some name. And here, right, we just saw automated job application notification. Let's say if I just choose hiring team notification, then we have the capture interactions, And then here, if you notice, like, we have this contacts informations. Okay. So what is the purpose of this contacts information? Let's say if I want, this particular notification to be triggered based on, certain contacts, like, I want this notification to be triggered only for, certain legal entity. Then I can add those legal entities under the authorization. Let's say I want this notifications to be triggered only if the candidate is, as applied to a requisition and the requisition type is campus. Then I can able to add campus here. So basically, this is like setting up a prerequisites for this particular notifications to trigger. Then you can able to do this one. So this is one functionality you will see, and if I just go to interviews, then you will not see these options. And if I just go to application e-signature, for application e-signature for this kind of categories, you will see is that this particular checkbox is disabled. The reason why it is disabled is because this content is going to be displayed in the career site. Okay, and it has nothing to do with the candidate's record. Okay, so that's why this particular checkbox is disabled. And here, if you notice, you can able to add the content, but you can still use the rich text editor, but you cannot add any images, anything. So that's how this particular category is to. And you will not see SMS because these categories are used to display the content in the career side. So e-signature, and then offer letter templates. We'll see that once we go to the offer section. Posting description. So whenever you change your category thing, you will see that you get a small warning stating that all the message contents, the headers, everything, whatever you choose will be deleted. So that's the warning about. So what I'll do is okay. So this is the posting description category. So here also, if you see the checkbox is disabled because this content is used to display some posting descriptions in the career site. Yeah, and you can define your contacts, like whom it has for which recruiting type you have to see this. Okay, so basically you will see these options when you are creating a requisition. Okay? Let's go back. Let me just quickly create a requisition. I'll just choose one. I'll just skip all the steps, team. I'll just directly go to the posting description. So this is, we are creating a requisition. And when I go to the posting description, right? Here, I can enter, the posting description manually, or I can choose from a list of values. Okay. So this is the place where I can able to choose this. So now, that's why I don't see this capture message, option here, because this is again at the requisition at the carrier side. Okay. And here, when I create the requisition, right, and I want the descriptions to be, let's say, I have 100 posting descriptions, or let's say, like, for each job, right, I would have a posting description, right? So let's say, for campus, I may have different, different criteria. Let's say I end up creating like 100 posting descriptions. If I create 100 posting descriptions, then in the list of values I can able to see 100 posting descriptions, content items, right? Let's say I don't want to do that. I want to show only whichever is relevant for this requisition. Then in such scenarios I use this context relevance. Let's say this particular requisition, right? If I just go to the structure, this is the recruiting type is hourly. Okay. So what I'll do is in the recruiting type, I'll choose hourly. Okay. Then what will happen is this particular content item would be displayed only if the recruiting type of the requisition is hourly, then this particular posting descriptions would be displayed. Let's say instead of hourly, if I choose something else, professional, okay, then this particular content item will not be displayed in the list of values in the posting section. Okay? This way you can able to restrict like, which the data which was supposed to see for the particular requisition. And then as usual, you have the start date. You see the short description, responsibilities, qualifications. Okay? You will not see the SMS text because it is not relevant to this category. So once you enter all these informations, then it will be automatically, you will see that in the list of values, and then it will be displayed here automatically, which is quickly active. So now I just activated. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly refresh, and let me just create a requisition. And team, I have not used any context here, so that I can able to see this in detail. It's taking a little bit time. Okay, we'll see that again, team. But this is how you can able to create for the other categories. Okay. So you will be seeing lot of categories here, and we'll come back to the content library as part of the offer, as part of the interviews, as part of the candidate selection process. Every most of the topics will be coming back to the content library to create new contents for those particular topics. Okay. So any doubts or questions so far, team, on the content library?
No.
Okay, perfect. So then next topic which we have is the uh, geography hierarchies. Let me just quickly take the PPT. Just give me 1 minute. My PPT got crashed. Tim, I'm so sorry. Just give me 1 more minute. The PowerPoint is having some issues. Team, I'm so sorry. I think there is some issue with my PowerPoint. It is for some reasons it is getting crashed. But let's go with the next topic, team. So before I move to the next topic, any other doubts or questions, team, on the content library? Okay. So next we'll talk about the geography hierarchies. So what is a geography hierarchy and why do we need to use a geography hierarchy? So in core HR, right, if you notice, like, we everyone has idea about core HR applications, right? So in Fusion applications, basically we have long list of countries. We basically have almost every country whichever is there in the Fusion application. Or whichever, if there is a country, then that country name would be available in the list of values. Okay. But so in Fusion, whenever you hire an employee, you can able to choose all the location, you can able to see all the values, everything comes up here. But we cannot expect, or we don't want the similar behavior or activities in the recruiting perspective. Okay? Because, in recruiting, we are not going to use all the locations. We are going to have or we are going to use the locations only where the customer presence is there. Okay? So basically a geography hierarchy, right? It is a business object that defines, how do I say, I can say, like, it defines a limited universe of the geographies, which is organized in a parent-child relationship. Okay? So let's say the customers have the presence in, India, uh, let's say India, UAE, Jordan, and Australia. Okay? Let's assume these four countries. Okay. Then what will happen is, like, whenever I create a requisition, I wanted to display only these four options. Okay. Countries and cities, out of this country, states and cities out of these four countries. Okay. And then similarly in the carrier side, whenever the candidate is trying to search for a requisition, right, they should able to see the states and cities of these countries only. I don't want to display everything, all the available countries in the world, right? So that doesn't make any sense. Okay. So that's where, we have this geography hierarchy. So in order to access geography hierarchy, the navigation is again the same. We have to go to setup and maintenance. And one in the setup and maintenance, we have to choose the setup as recruiting and candidate experience. The functional areas recruiting and candidate experience. And then you will see this geography hierarchies. Okay. So once I go inside the geography hierarchy, you will able to see all the geography hierarchies which is there in the application. Okay. And the thing about geography hierarchy is that, we can have at any point of time, we can have only one geography hierarchy active at any given point of time. Okay. And system will not allow will not allow to have multiple geography hierarchies active at any point of time. Okay. So you can have one active and then you can create one within future state. Okay. So let's say I can make, one more geography active starting from, 12 a.m. of 20th September. Okay. So then what happened is on 12 a.m. of 20th September, whatever the geography hierarchy which is active now will become, ended, and then the new one will be activated. So just to see a quick glance of, how the geography hierarchy looks like, you can just click on the geography hierarchy and then you can see the structure here. Okay. So you will see the countries, and then inside each country you can see the names, states, and then inside the states you can able to see the counties or cities. Okay. So this geography hierarchy we have to build from scratch. Okay. So we will not have anything seeded when we get the application. And the geography hierarchies can be built in two ways. One is from scratch, like, you can create a new geography hierarchy. Okay. And then you can keep adding the countries here. Okay. This is one way to create geography hierarchy. And the second way is, like, if you already have an existing geography, then you can duplicate it. So once I click on the actions button, you will see a duplicate option. Okay. Once I click on duplicate, the existing geography will be created with a duplicate version of it. And then just like, we saw in the content library, you will see the start on activation. Okay. So if you select this, then, you can activate this particular geography hierarchy when you activate this particular object. So now let us see, like, these are the countries which is there. Okay. Let's say if you wanted to add or remove any countries, then you can just select the country and then you see this delete, remove option. Okay. Let's say if you wanted to add a country. Let's say I'll just, yeah. Let's say I wanted to add India here. So I'll just, what I'll do, so I'll first click on the plus button, search for India. I'll just choose India. I'll just click on the right arrow so that it will be added to the selected countries. And I'll just click on OK. Once I click on OK, I see that, India has been added. Okay. So once we add the countries, right, the standard functionality is that, we can add only two levels to any countries. Okay. So the geography hierarchies, right, it is a three-level process. Okay. That means, I can have only three levels in geography hierarchy. The first level, obviously, it will be the country. And the second and third level, right, it can be decided by the customers. Okay. So let's say I can have like, state and city, or some customers, they prefer to have state and county, and some customers, they prefer to have city and zip code. No? So that you can able to define. Yeah. So let's say if you wanted to, under India, I have wanted to have state and I wanted to add state and city. So what I'll do is I'll just choose India and then I'll click on add sublevels. Once I click on sublevels, let me just push the page. Yeah. So I'll just click on India, just click on add sublevel. Yeah, so sorry guys. Okay. So once I click on add sublevel, you can able to see the status. Okay. So here I can have like, state and city. Let's say, for example, I choose in the state, I choose Tamil Nadu. For some reasons, the instance has become a little slow, but my voice is clear, right, Tati? There is no drag in my voice, right?
No, your voice is clear.
Yes.
It's still taking it. So let's say like, for India, the structure is like, defined as state and city. Okay. Let's say I don't want that to be happen. I want like, for India, like, I wanted to have a different structure. In such case, you can just go to geography hierarchy structures. So once I click on geography hierarchy structure, I can choose like, what is the structure I wanted to define. Just give me 1 second. Let me just see if I can just switch to some other instance. And just a quick check, Anupama, you completed your enrollments?
Mm, what do you mean, Ravi?
I mean, have you completed your enrollment for last week Friday? You were saying that you are ready to complete it.
No, no, I completed the enrollment and what's his name? He provided me the instance access as well.
Okay, perfect.
Prasad, yeah.
So now let's say I choose Tamil Nadu. And then I can able to see under the okay, I think because people are not added it properly. Let me just private United States. So you can able to search and then you can able to search for the level 2 and level 3. Let's say if I wanted to change, okay, or if I wanted to see what is the level 1 and level 2 for each of the country, then we go to geography hierarchy structure and then here we can able to see what is the structure defined. Let's say if it is for India, right? If you see for India, the level 1 is town and then there is no level 2 at all. If I wanted to make changes to it, I'll just click on the structure and then in the level 1, I choose state and then in level 2, I choose town. So these are the only options which is available. And if you ask me, Ravi, is there a way we can able to add new values to this list? No, we cannot. Okay? And pretty much we can able to see all those details. We don't have any other options apart from these values. So once it is done, I'll just click on OK and I'll click on save and close. So once I click on save and close, I can able to make changes to it. So I'll just quickly refresh the page. Let me just from India and see how the structure is. Okay, there is no sub levels. Okay, so I'll just click on add sub level. Click on add sub level. If you see, I can able to see all the states here now. Okay, that's because in the structure I have just in the recruiting and candidate experience structure, I have just choose level 1 a state and level 2 a city. Okay? So that's why I can able to see that now. Yeah. So I just choose level 1 a state, level 2 a town. Yeah. Okay. So now let's say I wanted to search. Once I choose Tamil Nadu, if I just click on search button, yeah. So once I choose Tamil Nadu in level 1 and when I click on search, right, you will see all the towns which is there in Tamil Nadu. Okay. So this way, what will happen is if I wanted to search only for the level 3s of, based on the value which I choose in level 2, then this is how we can able to do that. Okay. So let's say, for example, I just search only for the major cities. I'll click on Chennai. So I can just add here. So when I add here, if you see, it has added automatically Tamil Nadu, India, country, the state is Tamil Nadu, and the cities or the town is Chennai. Let's say I'll just click on OK. And then I'll try to add sublevel. So here in the level 2, I just search for Hyderabad. Once I choose Hyderabad, if you see the level 1 is automatically completed. Okay? So that's how you can able to add the level 1 and level 2 here. So let's say I just add Hyderabad, and when I add it here, I can able to see the state is also added automatically. So now what will happen is I can able to save it as draft. Okay. So let's say I save this content, geography hierarchy as draft mode. So once I save the draft mode, if I just go back, you can see that this particular geography hierarchy, the status is showing as draft. Okay. So when I create a draft item, I can edit it. I can edit it. I can activate. I can duplicate, and I can delete it. Okay. But if I just click on the actions button of an stay active one, all I see is only duplicate. Okay. So if I wanted to deactivate a geography hierarchy, okay, you cannot able to do that. Okay. So geography is once a geography hierarchy is activated, it cannot be deactivated. Okay. You can just create a duplicate version and then you can update it, but you cannot deactivate a geography hierarchy. Okay. And then the delete option is again available in the draft version only. So this is a standard functionality across the recruiting module that the delete button will be available, or the delete option will be available only if that particular object is in draft mode. It could be geography hierarchies, content libraries, requisitions, or anything which can be saved in draft mode. Then those particular object can be deleted. So that's how the delete option is. And once an object is activated, you cannot delete this particular object. So now what I'll do is I'll just activate this particular one, and then I'll just click on activate. Okay. So now if you see this particular geography tree which we have created is now showing the status as current. And then the previous one which was active, it is showing as ended. Okay. Let's say if we have created a geography tree with the future start date, how it looks like. Let me just show that. I'll choose 20. I'll just click on save and activate. And here, if you notice, this is how the future dated ones will look at. You see the green arrow which is showing from left to right. That means that it is a future dated. And if you see any object with this red one, right, left right to left, then it means that it is an ended one. Okay. So this is the difference on the status. Okay. So these are the different statuses which we have on the geography hierarchies. So any doubts or questions, team, on geography hierarchy or the geography hierarchy structure?
Yeah, so say for some requisition, if we have added a location, but later on that location is to be deactivated or that sub level of location is to be removed,
Mm-hmm.
then what will happen of those requisitions in that case?
Those requisitions will still be there.
It will still work,
It will still work, yes.
and like the hiring will complete, and even it will hire the candidate on that particular location itself.
Yes, you can still able to do all those details. All
So
the functions works, but only thing is the new requisitions which are we created, those will not be, you will not see this particular object in the new requisitions.
okay, and so these geography hierarchies are subset of the geographies that we create as part of core HR, or this is some standard country list that Oracle has provided, and from that we can only add some standard sub levels.
See, these things comes from your core HR.
Okay. So in the third sub level, can we have worker locations?
No, we cannot. This is like standard. See, this is basically in the recruitment, right? When we create a requisition, you have to choose what is the location of the requisition, right? So in that, if I choose worker location, no, the work locations, right? It doesn't do good sense, good feel to the candidate. For example, if I just go to the hiring, if I take any requisitions, you see, here it shows primary location as Atlanta, Georgia, United States. Okay. So here, if I show like, let's say I have a work location called, WF001. It doesn't give like, good feel to the candidates, right? And the same locations is what will be displayed in the career sites as well. So to have a simplified version of, the work locations, that's what we have the geography hierarchies. So let's say when the candidate goes to the career site and then search for all the job openings in Georgia state, then they will see this particular requisitions.
Because mostly worker locations, like actual work locations or office addresses, are sometimes requested for jobs where
Yeah, we'll display that as well. We'll display
okay,
that and we'll display this both as well.
okay, so worker location can be added. Uh,
That will also be added to the requisitions along with this one.
okay, then that's fine. Because I thought that it's only three sub levels. Then within the city, which location is it? It is we don't know.
I understand. We'll
Mhm.
see that in detail, like Himanshu. Once we go to the requisitions, right, you will get more clarity of like, what kind of locations we'll add in the requisitions. Because if I just go to the offer section, right, if I just go to the offer info, you see primary work location.
Yeah.
Work locations is also a mandate. Okay, but we'll see that in detail once we go into the job requisitions. So, any other doubts or questions, team, on the requisitions?
Uh, when you enabled India and sub levels, and if only one country, let's suppose India is enabled,
Mhm.
and the sub level is Chennai and uh, Madras and Chennai. So, do you mean do is it like the requisitions will be created only for that country and state and city?
I
Does
didn't get your comment. Can you come again, please?
okay? Can we go back to the um, yes, geography hierarchy, and here you made an edit in India, right? Country
Yeah,
India, and you created the sub levels for the country, right?
correct.
So if only India is enabled and only those sub levels are enabled, so when a requisition is being created, are the requisitions will be created only for the specific country and those specific sub levels?
Yes. For example, let me tell you. I'm creating a requisition. Okay.
So we are not going to get any other option other than India and the sub levels, right?
That's that. So here, right, if you see the primary location, if I search India, I get to see only these options. Let's say
Yes.
if in India, like, let's say I want this requisition to be created for Vijayawada. I will not. Or if let's say if I wanted to create for Madurai, I will not. Let's say if I wanted to create for Bihar, I will not. Noida, nothing will be displayed. If you want a requisition to be created for certain location, right, then that particular location has to be added in the geography hierarchy. That's when you get to see this in the primary location.
Okay, so these locations basically are coming from global HR, right? In recruiting, we are not adding it. Basically, we are using it from global
Global.
HR, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So, are they loading it, or like how does it work?
See,
Because
the countries are, already there. Okay.
okay,
The per HR. The states and the cities, we have to load it. The states will also be there, but I believe the cities has to be loaded.
okay. So, will you be telling us how to load those?
Uh, sure. Let me just put it back.
And one more thing, like in the sub level, we had two options, postal code also. So if there is any kind of change in the postal code, I mean, if there is any kind of addition in the postal code, how we are going to get to know that
Addition in the sense. So
in the postal code? Like, is the if there any some
if
kind
there
of
is
a
a new
change?
postal codes,
Yeah.
that you have to again, you have to add it. It will not be synced automatically.
Okay.
Just go on. Just search for the next. Let me do one thing, Anupama. I'll just make a note of it. Right. That's correct, right? Now to add values to level 2 and level 3. We have a task through which we can able to add it, but I'm not getting the task name. I'll just check and confirm you back on that, Anupama.
Sure.
So any other doubts or questions, team? Okay. So if there are no other doubts or questions, then we'll wind up for today's session, and then we'll reconnect tomorrow at 7 a.m. IST, and then we'll resume with the pre-screening questions. So thank you so much, guys. You guys have a great day. Be safe, and let's connect tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. IST.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Ravi.